Hi, welcome to my channel Mostly Knitting. I'm Tash, and if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're new here, this is a weekly podcast where I talk mostly about the knitting that I've been doing during the week and any other crafting if I happen to have done any. And I also put out regular tutorials. Now, I normally start with finished objects, but today I'm going to start with Friend from the Vault, which is a segment where I talk about something that I knit earlier. And I'm going to talk about this cardigan that I am wearing. It's quite hot here, so I'd like to show it to you and then take it off and then get on to my other segments. So Friend from the Vault, I knit this in 2013 and it's Reine, R-E-I-N-E, by Alexis Winslow. It is a long line cardigan. I'll just stand back and show you. It is designed, like I knit it pretty much to pattern in terms of length. It has buttonholes, which I did, and so it's meant to have buttons. I just didn't, I didn't attach any because I didn't think I would actually button them. It has some beautiful details and it's a really well written pattern. The edging has this braid, like a cable braid along the edge that is actually knitted as you go. It's knit bottom up. It has some welting details on the sleeves and on the back and on the bottom. And it also has these pockets that are added afterwards that echoes that cable along the side. And yeah, it's really, trying to think how I actually sewed them. Yeah, there they are. That's the seam in there. So you knit them separately and add them on. So it's knit bottom up with this edge as you go, and you knit the buttonholes as you go. And then you break for the sleeves, knit up the front and then the back, and then you sew. And it has these really lovely, nice detail along the shoulder. And then that's just sewn together. And the sleeves are, in the instructions, you actually pick up the sleeves and knit them top down, which is what I often do with patterns. Even if it says to knit the sleeves separately and sew them in, I often do that. I actually do pick up, I modify the pattern, but this one's actually written that way. You actually pick up the stitches along the sleeves and you do short rows and then you work all the way down. And yeah, I don't know if you can tell, I'm getting very hot, so I'm going to take it off. So the yarn that I used, the pattern is written for Brooklyn Tweed Loft, which is a 4-ply fingering weight yarn. It is lofty as described. It's a woolen spun yarn. 50 grams is 250 meters. I did not use that yarn. I already had some Rowan felted tweed DK in stash, which sounds like the wrong kind of match, DK versus 4-ply, but this yarn is, the Rowan felted tweed DK is actually quite a light DK, probably closer to a sport weight. And I mean, you can get a DK gauge, but it's certainly, you can knit it close to the, I knit it to the gauge, managed to get gauge in the pattern. Now the gauge for the pattern is 21.25 stitches, which is, you know, that's a pretty big gauge for a 4-ply yarn. And I got that with the Rowan felted tweed DK. The only thing that was a bit different was my row gauge. So I had to sort of just, but you know, often row gauge isn't that big a deal because you just knit to so many inches. So and with this pattern, that was totally fine. I'm just trying to think. So the Rowan felted tweed DK is 50 grams is 175 meters. So it's probably a tiny bit heavier than Reine would have been, but it's still a very lightweight cardigan. I'm just looking at my notes here. It only weighed 200 and, what did I have? 200 and, I did write it down, 264 grams. So it's still a pretty lightweight cardigan. Some of the interesting features, like I really like that cable braid, and one of the things that was interesting for me with this was when you joined it at the back, you had to graft these two pieces because you're sort of knitting up this way and knitting up this way. And the pattern didn't actually tell you to, but I really wanted to graft it in pattern because it's actually a rib. That cable's a rib. And so I looked up how to graft in rib, and I put a little, like I have links to this pattern and my Ravelry page in the description below the video, so you can go and check out. I've put some notes about how to graft in pattern. The other thing I really wanted to make sure of, you know, you can see with a cable, you know, the cable occurs so many rows, whether it's 6 rows or 8 rows. I wanted to make sure that that actually all lined up so that it didn't look like there was one section that was too long or too short. So I made sure that my rows lined up, and I think that's where I that's where I grafted it there. So I was really, I was proud of myself for, you know, it was only like 11 stitches or something, but for taking the time to do that so that it looked seamless. I mean, it's at the back of your neck. No one's going to see it, but I knew. So I was very happy with that. So that's Friend from the Vault by Alexis Winslow. I highly recommend the pattern, really nice. I don't knit a lot of cardigans. One of the things that I noticed in my 2023 video, everything that I knit, the number of cardigans I knit was 0. And I already have plans to knit the champagne cardigan, so that will be one more than last year if I actually get that one done. But I'd like to start wearing some. I mean, I think that's a bit of a hole in my wardrobe, and I do like to be able to just throw something on when I'm a bit chilly rather than do the whole pullover thing. Right, so that's my Friend from the Vault. Then now I'll get into my finished objects. So I have 2 finished objects this week. I had started both of them last week in my episode with Beck. The first one is the Stax Hat by Carina Spencer, and I have knit this one before. I knit this one before out of, let me think, Madeline Tosh Pashmina. This one I knit with Road to China Light. So that's, what's the name of the Fibre company, Road to China Light in the colourway Riverstone. And this was left over from my Freya sweater. And it weighs 40 grams, so it's very lightweight. It's actually a really easy pattern to do. Sort of looks a bit cable-ish, but it's not actually. It's just knit 2 togethers and slip knits and yarn overs. And it has a really nice crown detail, which is really, I think, really pretty. I'll just try it on. I won't keep it on for very long. I think for me, this colour wouldn't be great because probably a bit close to my, although I'm looking a bit pink today because it's a bit hot, but it's probably a little bit close to my skin tone or maybe my hair colour or something. But the recipient requested a tan hat, and I thought, well, it's definitely tan. I think it's tan. So, and I think it will suit her colouring a little bit better. So that's one finished object. And the other one is the Oslo hat with Mohair, except I used alpaca and cashmere. So I used Drops Alpaca, which was left over from my Still Light tunic, and some cashmere that I got from Japan. I don't know where the leftovers are. I only had a tiny, oh, there it is. I only had a tiny little bit left. So this is a really, it's a pattern by Petite Knit. I'll just try it on. I blocked it when I got to about this point, and I haven't blocked the rest of it. And I think I will, actually I know I will. I'm gonna block it tonight because the cashmere, some of the instructions in the cashmere is it's got some excess stuff that you definitely wanna rinse off. So I'll block it again fully tonight, and then it's going to be sent off to the recipient. So excuse the top of it because it hasn't been blocked. So this weighs 86, no, I'm going to look that up actually. Sorry, this weighs, sorry, I wrote it all down on my project page and then I forgot to write it in my notes. So this used 1.3, just over 1.3 skeins balls of the Drops Alpaca and about 18 grams of the cashmere. And let me see, it weighs 83 grams. So it sort of looks a little bit funny at the top there just because I haven't. See how that's the rolled bit, so you probably don't want to go past that. Yeah, and so it will have like a little bit of a sticky uppy thing at the top, and it has a pretty substantial brim that's like 3.5 inches, but this is definitely going to keep someone's ears warm because that's triple thick there, the Oslo hat with mohair, and 100% alpaca, and then the cashmere held with it. That should keep my friend pretty warm. So those 2 are going to Japan, not to Japan. Those 2 are going to London to my friend who's just started chemo. So that's it for my finished objects. My works in progress. I have one new work in progress, and that is another Musselburgh hat. I think this is number 17 or 18. Maybe number 17, I think. So I hadn't started this last week actually. I just started it, I think, when Beck was here, and this is it's Skein Sisters. What's the name of the yarn? Skein Sisters. Oh, I'll put it in the down bar. Sorry, I've worked all day today. It's the I'm back at school with staff days, so I might not have everything down while I'm recording, but I'll put it in the down bar, and everything will be in the description below. So this, I do know the color is Anemone, and I know that this base is the one that has 20% silk. So it's 80% wool, 20% silk. And my friend, her name's Jean, she said she would like a coral hat and tan. So I thought those two are pretty good. That's tan, that's probably a bit more oatmeal, but I thought that's a pretty, it's a pretty versatile color, I think, that will go with hopefully a lot of things. And so that's those two. And I think this is pretty corally. And the other one that I'll be sending is this one here with the neon, Madeleine Tosh neon peach. So that's got some coral in it. And these two Musselburghs, Colinet Jitterbug and Tosh Merino Light in Malmo. So, because she said she liked green as well. So we've got green, coral, and tan. So I'm hoping to get this one. I think I'm almost at the point where I'm about to finish this one, and I will block it. I'll block it, finish it tonight, and I'll block it, and I'll take a video of myself, like how I block it. It's pretty straightforward, but I'll show you what I do. Normally I would pre-block this, like I'd block it to just be sure about my length, but I actually want to get this all in the mail tomorrow. So I'm hoping I can get this finished and blocked and dry, and in the mail tomorrow, because it's Friday's a public holiday here. Anyway, so that's my first new work in progress, and I'm using 3.25mm needles, and I get to 136 stitches when it's a fingering weight yarn for the Musselburghs. Right, so that's my only new work in progress, and the other 4 works in progress, none of them have moved from where they were a week ago when I did my video with Beck. So if you've already seen that video, you might want to fast forward to my next segment, but I'll show you in case you haven't seen. One of them is the half and half wrap. That's actually my little swatch. Half and half wrap by Purl Soho, which is a free pattern using Purl Soho linen quill, which is the recommended yarn. I'm using the recommended needle size of 3.25mm, I think. And I'm slipping the first stitch, and I'm just doing regular wrap and turns, but I've only done 3 rows. So I've actually had a request for someone to show me, for me to show wrap and turns. So I do have a video on wrap and turns when it's just knit, well actually in stockinette. And the person was asking for the skimmer socks. So I can do a video on that. I've added that to the list for my tutorials. But that's my swatch with the 2 colors, because my other color is this red poppy, and I think that's bird's egg blue. I keep calling it baby bird blue. I think it's bird's egg blue. And that's the result of wrap and turns, and I really like that. I think that's, I'm happy with that. And just slipping the first stitch knit-wise just keeps, for me, I like that edging. So that's one work in progress that hasn't, I will get back to that now. Once I finish Musselburgh, that will be my sort of vanilla knit. I actually have a few vanilla knits. The other one, another vanilla knit is my another Oslo hat with Mohair, and this actually is Mohair. So this is using KFS yarn from Japan, Opal Sock yarn, and some leftover Rowan Kidsilk Haze in the colorway Nectar. And I think that's pretty close to the point. It's not too much more. I've actually just knitted off onto a longer needle so I could try it on to make sure I was happy with the size. And I think I am. I think that's going to be good. So yeah, it's probably pretty close to where I get it to, I think 7.5 inches. So I've probably got a few more inches to go. Anyway, so that's another pretty easy, and also portable too, which is nice. This is portable at the moment, but it probably won't be for much longer. Another work in progress is Camisole number 4, and I'm using Knitting for Olive Pure Silk in the colorway Raspberry Pink. And I've got they're the 2 front cups and the back sections. The yellow is just you cast on with a crochet provisional cast on, so they're live stitches, which will get picked up later for the strap. And I'm at the point now, this is also very straightforward knitting now. It's broken rib in the round, no shaping, so just knit a row and then knit 2 purl 2 all the way around the next row. So that will definitely get some progress during the week. I tend to work on my garments more than my other projects if they're at a point that they can be worked on, because I'm primarily a garment knitter, and because this is now at the point where it's not fiddly and shaping, and you know, this, I really had to pay attention to all the instructions for this section here. It wasn't hard, but I just actually had to really look at the pattern and pay attention, whereas now I don't have to pay attention, or like I can talk with people or, you know, whatever. So that's that will probably get, like if I can, I'll work on that as a priority over other things. And my last work in progress is the Skimmer socks. So like same as last week, I'd only finished that first sock. This is using some leftover 3 Mums yarn. And then I think this is some Vespa sock yarn for the trim because I ran out. So I use leftovers for my Skimmer socks generally because they don't use up very much yarn. Like if I have 36 grams, I can get a whole pair of socks. If I have a bit less than that, which I only have 32.8 for these, like total, I need to add trim, but I quite like that. I like a little trim of something. That pink is not quite the right shade of pink. I would have liked that kind of pink more, but you know, whatever. They're no-show socks, and they don't fall into your shoes, so it doesn't really matter. No one can see it, and if they see it, they'll just see a little pink peak of that pink, and not say, oh, that's not the same pink as that pink. So all good. So they're my 5, and that's by Sheila Toy Stromberg, and it's a free pattern as well. Now I think that's it for my works in progress. So I'm up to purchases now. I haven't made any purchases this week, but I am planning to make some purchases because I've got my in-laws coming from the US in about 5 weeks. And I usually try to get some yarn sent to them and they bring it with them. It just helps with, you know, the prohibitive shipping costs to Australia. So I found, I was going to get the Gilliat yarn for Snow Wonder. That's the Rerum Natura Gilliat in the colourway CL for Snow Wonder by Heidi Kiermaier. I was going to get that from Sunspun, but they're out of stock and they don't have it in their next batch coming in, and it could be quite a few months. So I thought, oh, well, maybe I'll tie that in with my in-laws coming. And so I had a look. The Knitting Loft in Canada sells that yarn and they have it in stock. So I'm going to get some from there. And of course they have like free shipping if it's $200, like to the US and Canada, if it's $200 or more. So I started looking at what else they had. And I was thinking about the yarn for the Poppy Tea by Petite Knit. And that's knit out of, I think it's called Cardiff Cashmere, which is a bit of a luxury splurge, but the yardage is really good for it. And I really wanted to knit it in that colour, that I think it's MA Classic, but unfortunately they're out of stock. And I just don't know, because like time is kind of the essence to get that purchased. I'm not sure that I'll be able to get that. Yeah, I'll have to look for something else. I mean, it doesn't have to be $200, right? I might just order the Gilliat, but you know, like they actually have a lot of beautiful yarn, so I'm sure I can find something else. And also they have Sandisgarn. They have the knitting. If you're in Canada, you probably know the Knitting Loft. They have a lot of really beautiful yarn, so I'm sure I'll find something else. But anyway, that's some of my plans. Yes, so I am kind of looking at yarn stores at the moment. What has caught my eye, that's a segment where I just talk about something that I've noticed this week. I really haven't even been looking this week. I haven't had much time to watch podcasts or see, or even just sort of looking on Ravelry or anything. So there's nothing new this week that has caught my eye. Plans. I've decided with my plans, because I already did a video of like my 2023 wrap up and my first quarter knits for 2024. My plans are just going to be, what might I cast on this week? So I think this week I am actually going to cast on for the Stockholm slipover, and I'll just grab that because it's actually right here. This is my swatch, and this is using the Rowan felted tweed left over from Rain. I had quite a bit left over actually. And I've got enough for the Stockholm slipover, and that's using, reaching again, Knitting for Olive, soft silk mohair that I got from Skein Sisters. So those two, that yarn and that yarn together, creates this swatch, and I think that would make a really nice, now I already have a garment on the needles, but that's a summery garment, and I figure, you know, I can have a vest for sure on the needles. What else have I got? I've got a hat, a wrap, a top, socks. That hat will be finished. The Musselburgh will be finished soon. So, you know, that's okay. I'll finish the Musselburgh and I will start the Stockholm slipover, so I'll still just be at 5. I think that's it for this week, which is a bit quicker than my normal videos. I mean, I'll do personal stuff in a minute, but before I get to that, I thought I'd just talk about my channel plans. So because this is going to be a busy year for me, I was debating whether to move to a podcast every 2 weeks or just make my podcasts a bit shorter. So keep them weekly, but just whatever I've gotten done. And if I haven't looked at anything, then there's nothing in what's caught my eye and there's no other craft or whatever, I just skip that segment. And I think I'd be happy to do that. I'm curious to hear what people think. I think I would enjoy a weekly shorter one, keeps me sort of in the groove, or I could do a fortnightly, I don't think you use that word in the US, but every 2 weeks, a longer video. But then I think I just forget things and what was I doing, and so anyway, I'm happy to hear your thoughts, but my inclination is, because I have Wednesdays off, to record what would probably be a shorter video, because I'll have less content to show and less just, less things that have caught my eye, whatever, but I'm still sort of keeping in there with what I'm up to. So yeah, feel free to let me know what you think if you have a preference, and I mean, I'll probably just do what works for me, but I'm curious to hear what people would like. So even though I'll have to do what works for me. And if it turns out that actually doing it weekly doesn't work, I'll have to switch to 2 weeks, then that's what it will be. So personal stuff, I'll just talk about my week just gone. I did go to the Australian Open tennis last weekend, and that was awesome. It was so good to watch the matches live, and got to see Sloane Stephens and 2 female Chinese players, Zheng, I can't remember their first names, Zheng and Wang. That was an amazing match. That went to 3 sets. We watched Alcaraz. Unfortunately, that was a bit of a blowout. It was interesting watching him, but he was like smashing the other guy, 6-1, 6-1. And then I can't remember the other guy's name. Sorry, I'm not as prepared as I normally would be for this podcast because I've been busy. Anyway, he retired injured, so that one wasn't a great match. But other than that, it was just really great. The atmosphere was awesome, and I think next year I'd like to go. That was a work trip with my husband. Next year I'd like to go just maybe with my son and my husband, or maybe my mum and my aunt if they wanted to come down, like just make a bit of a drive, probably drive down, because Melbourne's actually not that far from Sydney. And flights are so expensive. I was shocked at how expensive the flights were. So yeah, I mean, it's not that long a drive, and like everybody can drive, like my husband, we can share the driving. So anyway, that's a thought maybe for next year. It's yeah, I'd definitely like to go again. It was fun. And other than that, I've just been working and really busy working. That's why I haven't been watching many podcasts, because I've been knitting a bit, but instead of knitting and watching knitting podcasts, I've been watching work videos. So I'm a if you're new here, I'm a high school maths teacher, and I've just had a couple of staff days today and yesterday, and I've got another staff day tomorrow. Friday is Australia Day here, and then I'm back with students on Monday. And actually, Australia Day is my mum's birthday, so we usually have my mum over on, we either go out or have mum over for lunch on Saturday, so hopefully we'll do that again this Friday. It's usually a stinking hot day, and so either we just want to be somewhere air conditioned because it's really hot. So our house is air conditioned. If we go to a restaurant, I just definitely want to make sure it's air conditioned. Otherwise, we've got a pool and the house is air conditioned, so maybe just have a nice a nice lunch here. And then my son is working at KFC. And a friend of mine has it's a bit of a traditional thing here in Australia. People have barbecues and invite people over. So I'm going to pop over to a friend's in the afternoon and take Zach to work. I think that's it in personal stuff. It's really dominated by work at the moment. Although one really nice thing about my work tomorrow is we've got a staff lunch down at one of my colleagues. They live in Bundina, which is in the national park, and she lives right on the ocean. So we'll go there and have lunch and have a swim. And so this, I'm really, really fortunate. I work with really amazing, at a fantastic school with amazing teachers. I love my colleagues. I love my regular job. I mean, I love doing this too, but I love working with the students. I love teaching. It's a real passion for me. One of the things that's really difficult for me is that I love so many things you might feel the same with craft, right? Like I want to knit, but I want to weave, but I want to sew, but I want to crochet, and I want to do hand sewing and quilting, and it can be choosing which of the wonderful things to do, including my job. Like even with my job, I've got a lot of new aspects this year. So that's hence the cutting back, I think. Perhaps I love this channel. I've only been doing it for a year. Like on the 20th of January, that was my first like this kind of podcast. And I've enjoyed it so much. I've really enjoyed the community and I don't want to stop doing it, but I just have to figure out how to keep it manageable so that I can still do it and still look after my students, look after my son who's starting year 11 this year, look after the professional side of my job, you know, have time with my husband, time with my friends. So anyway, it's like, I feel like my life isn't an embarrassment of riches. It is really, doesn't mean I don't have stresses and dramas. I am very fortunate to, like, I have my faith. That's my thing that really grounds me. And, but even in that, sometimes it's like, which is the best, you know, which is the best use of my time? Even if you've got, if you say yes to this, you're automatically saying no to something else because you only have 24 hours in a day. Anyway, it's a nice position to be in, loving your job and loving your craft and all of that kind of stuff. I'm getting a bit rambly now. So in terms of other stuff, I haven't really been reading anything except textbooks at the moment and doing math stuff. So anyway, I might stop there because I'll turn what should be a 30-minute podcast into an hour just by rambling. Yeah, so I'll definitely be back next week. And Wednesday is my day off. So being able to have so today wasn't my day off because it was a staff day. But generally, if Wednesdays are my day off, I might just try to get my recording done in the morning and edit it and still be able to keep this on a weekly schedule. So yeah, anyway, thanks so much for being here and I will be back next week. Bye.